Okay, guys, so we're going to start a new passage today. This is, I spelled Wednesday wrong up there. I just realized that. It's called The Extraordinary Earthworm. This is a informational passage. That means that everything in here is facts. It's true. It's giving us information. So my title is The Extraordinary Earthworm. It even gives me a picture up here, an illustration of what the earthworm looks like and kind of how it looks like half of his body is on the outside and the other part is in the ground. So let's start with paragraph 1. Yuck, ick, and gross. Believe it or not, these words are often used to describe one of Earth's most important animals. True, earthworms are not cute or cuddly, yet they do not deserve the bad things many people say about them either. Without earthworms, we might not have things like pizza or hamburgers. The world would not be the same. I wonder what that has to do with pizza and hamburgers. To understand how worms help people, first look at the worm's long, smooth body. A worm has an unusual system of muscles. Its muscles help the worm change from being short and squat to long and skinny. A worm also has tiny little hairs called seta. It can stick out and pull in these seta like the way a cat does its claws. The worm's muscles and seta are very important. They help the worm move through dirt. A worm uses its muscles to stretch out its body. It sticks its front seta in the dirt around it. The seta acts as an anchor. They hold the front of the worm into the dirt. Then the worm uses its muscles to make its body short. It pulls its tail up. Next, it pulls in its front seta. It anchors itself by sticking out its back seta. Then it can stretch its head out as its tail stays in place. In this way, the worm can move through the soil. As it moves, it does what it does best, eat dirt. That's right, worms eat dirt, and they eat pounds of it. In fact, in just 1 acre of land, worm eats as many as 15 tons of dirt each year. That's a lot. As a worm moves through the ground, moist soil enters its mouth. There are small pieces of decaying plants and animals in the soil. The worm digests the small pieces. From time to time, the worm moves to the surface. It passes the leftover dirt out through its tail. This unused dirt is called casting. You have likely seen casting on the ground. Now, what do all these facts have to do with pizza and hamburgers? That's what I'm wondering. Well, these foods have ingredients that come from farms, and worms are a farmer's best friend. Worms help farmers in many ways. For one, worms take bits of decaying plants and animals deep into the soil. These decaying bits make the soil more fertile. Also, worm casting are full of nutrients like nitrogen. These nutrients also help plants grow. Last, by eating dirt and bringing it up to the surface, worms slowly turn over the dirt. They plow the ground, just like farmers do when planting a crop. This plowing is good for plants. Turning the soil loosens the dirt. This helps plants' roots grow deep and strong. Turning also lets air and water down into the soil. Plant roots need air and water for healthy growth. Without worms, we might not have many tomatoes, pickles, or onions. We might not have much wheat for burger buns and pizza crust. We might not have much hay for farm animals like cows. This means we might not have much meat and cheese. Also, you can see worms make it easier for farmers to produce the ingredients for some of your favorite foods. Worms are very important. Charles Darwin, a famous scientist, said no other animals have played such an important part in the history of the world as worms. In some ways, worms are very very frail animals. Frail. After all, they have no bones for support. They have no shells for protection. Also, worm bodies must stay warm and moist. When it gets too dry or too cold, they have to dig deep down in the soil. They enter a sort of deep sleep until weather gets better. Even when the weather is better, they must avoid direct sunlight. Direct sunlight can quickly kill an earthworm. In other words, though, worms are some of the most powerful animals around. After all, think of all the things their hard work leads to. The next time you see a worm, bend down and tell the little guy thanks. Then you can go inside for a snack to enjoy his pal's hard work. All right, so we know this is an informational piece. What were we talking about? So what was this about? So it was about earthworms and how they're good for the earth. Okay. So let's look at question number 1. Why did the author most likely write this selection? So this right here is author's purpose. Because it's wanting to know what was the purpose for the author writing this selection. Okay. So let's kind of look through here and see why the author wrote this. Okay. So actually right up here I'm going to put author's purpose. Okay. Because I want to know, why did the author most likely write this selection? So let's look. To teach others about how earthworms move, eat, and help people. Okay, yeah, because we know it talked about how they moved, how they eat, and how they help us. To tell an exciting story about a little worm who likes to eat dirt. No. If it was a story, then that would be a fiction. This is nonfiction. To give facts about a famous scientist named Charles Darwin. No. It talked about Charles Darwin, but was the whole thing about Charles Darwin? No. To make people laugh at a funny story about a child who thanks earthworms for working hard? No. Again, story. This is not a story. This is an informational piece. It's giving us facts. So A would be our answer. Okay. Read these sentences from paragraph 6 of the selection. Without worms, we might not have many tomatoes, pickles, or onions. We might not have much wheat for hamburger buns, and pizza crust. Which of the following shows words from the sentence in alphabetical order? Alphabetical order. I think we did alphabetical order at the very beginning. So, this one, guys, this is one you're just gonna have to go through each and kind of see. So let's look at this first one. And if you have to write them out, I would. So hamburger, have many, might, much, pickles, pizza, without wheat, worms. So hamburger, that one's correct. That should go first. Yes. M-A, yes. M-I-N-U, yes. So this one looks good. So this one's a maybe. Let's look at the next one. Have and hamburger. Well, let's look at have and hamburger. I have H-A, H-A, H-A. Let's look at V and M. M comes before V, so this one's no. So hamburger, have many, oh, look at this. Many, my pickles, pizza, wheat. Ooh, I don't think F is, ooh, now that I'm looking at this, so let's look at these W's. We have wheat, without if I write my alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So this one can't be it because I have I and H comes before I, so this one could possibly be it. See, Miss Nethel didn't pay attention. This one, no, because it starts with W. So H is our answer. So that one you kind of had to go through and look at all of them. 3. Based on the titles, which of these books would most likely tell more facts about how earthworms help farmers? So we want more facts about how earthworms help farmers. So, Ern and Earthworm go fishing. No, that's going to be this right here is fiction. We want something with facts. How to keep worms as pets. No, we don't want to talk about pets. Jill and Fred farm adventures. No, so this is about pets. This is a fiction story. Building better soil with worms. Yes, because farmers need soil. So D. So if you notice, guys, 1, 2, and 3, I didn't have to go back into the story to find the answer. Okay, so these are ones that I use my, alphabetical order. I use skills that I have learned about putting words in alphabetical order. Number 1 was about what was the purpose. So I had to think about what I read and why the author would write it. Number 3 was one that I just kind of had to use information that I already know to see what else would be a good fit that would give me more facts. So number 4, I want you to do this one on your own. When would an earthworm be most likely to come to the surface to pass casting out through its tail? So this one, you will need to go to the passage and find where it talks about casting. Okay, I think it's going to be on page 46 where it has paragraphs 4, 5, 6, and 7, but I'm not going to tell you where. Okay, and I want you to tell me what paragraph did you find it on. All right.